Welcome to Inheritance Solutions for a Diverse Community with Richard Hall. Join us as we delve into strategies and insights that ensure your legacy is secure and your loved ones are cared for.
Hey everyone, welcome into an all-new episode of Inheritance Solutions for a Diverse Community with Richard Hall, the founder of Bottom Line Lawyers. I am your host, Mike Leon. Richard combines extensive legal and real estate expertise to help clients with estate planning and to protect their family's futures. Joining us as well is paralegal extraordinaire over at the firm, David Pereira. In today's episode, we're talking about the legal tools every adult in the state of California should have in place in case they can't make decisions for themselves. Gents, it's good to see you guys on another installment of this. Richard, let me start with you on this. What kind of everyday situations help illustrate why incapacity planning really truly matters for adults any stage of life?
Thanks, Mike, and pleasure to see you again. It's really critical. Sometimes we even say it's more critical than the trust itself, because if you, for some reason, lose legal competence, you need to have someone designated to make decisions for you. So that could be the result of a car accident, could be part of a medical procedure. It could be anything that actually takes away your ability to make a judgment that a court would accept. So you're lacking legal capacity. And those are the sorts of things that do that. And it's really important you have something in place to counter that. Because if you don't, the alternative is you're going to end up having to go to court, probably get a conservatorship issued, which is expensive and time consuming. So it surprises no one. Anyone from age 18 to X, 99, should have in place something for incapacity planning.
David, let me piggyback on that because Richard just mentioned about spouses and partners, and I'm sure everyone makes the assumption, right, that they can just automatically do it because I'm legally married to them. So what should Californians understand about how that decision-making actually works without the formal documentation, like Richard said?
Yeah. So yes, in California, on community property assets, the spouse will probably have a lot of control. But which is the common theme of these things always when you involve a financial institution is that golden rule. And he who has the gold makes the rules. And I can assure you that each bank is going to have their own rules along that, and it's going to be designed to protect them and not really make it very convenient for everyone at that particular time. So, you need to really put in place something different than thinking, well, my spouse will just be able to take care of it. That's probably the weakest approach. And there's going to be things like separate property that won't be addressed because the spouse doesn't have any interest in that separate property. And there could be other children from other marriages and all those complexities that come into play.
Richard, let's talk about power of attorneys here. Can you walk us through a durable power of attorney, what it does, how it protects someone's finances during a medical emergency or even a long-term incapacitation?
Sure. And a power of attorney for finance is what we're talking about here, as opposed to a power of attorney for healthcare. And there are a couple fundamental types, but most of them that happen within a estate plan are what we call springing. And that means they don't come into effect until there's a demonstration that the person lacks legal capacity. And then they only come to being at that point in time. So when you're signing it initially, you're not giving anybody any rights as of that moment. But what it does do is says anything that has to do with money, your banking, your bills, your business, any of those, your stock account, any of that stuff, that person has the right and ability to do what they need to do when you lack that legal capacity. I mean, just as a for instance, if you were not legally competent, who's going to make your mortgage payment? And if you don't, and you're in a long-term situation, your house could go into foreclosure. You could literally lose your home.
David, let me ask you, because I love these type of episodes because we explain the terminology. So let's do that. Can you explain what the Advanced Healthcare Directive is and what it covers?
It's really a healthcare power of attorney. We talked about the financial power of attorney. but this is for making specific decisions regarding health only. And I like to think that this is should be somebody relatively close to you. It's not so much about having a lot of education under their belt, like you would maybe want someone on a financial side of things. This is about health and making the clear, uh, the clear decisions about health. But something I really want to emphasize, it's really about making it easier for the family member that you've appointed to make the decision. Because, even in my own circumstances, I had to make those decisions for my father. What was I worried about? One, I loved my dad. I wanted him to live, and but I had to follow what he told me to do. Two, I was worried about family members saying, "Well, gee, you should have done this, and you ended up killing dad." Or mom, and having that all in writing that particular way eliminates those kinds of complications, and you're really giving a roadmap to that family member to follow what your decisions are when you can't make them. And just like the power of attorney, it only goes into effect generally when you're incompetent. If you're still competent and able to make your own decisions, you make them.
See, now with my own family as well, it's a sad situation when family can't get along, especially follow the wishes of the person that outlined it for them, right? Richard, let me turn to you about HIPAA releases. Let's talk about this for a second because they seem small, but they're crucial in this. What should people know about who can access their medical info and why that access can matter, especially in a crisis?
Well, as to why it matters is you're most of the viewers of this would know that this is called for diverse communities. So we serve everyone, but we particularly focus on non-traditional families, LGBTQ families, and those folks don't necessarily have the right to get information about a loved one who's in the hospital under the care of a physician. If there is no document that authorizes it, the hospital, the doctor are fully within their rights to say, no, I can't tell you that. And so it's really important to have that document and have identified in that document those folks who you want to have access to your health condition when you're not in a position to be able to tell them yourself.
Go ahead, David.
Yeah, and following on that is if they don't know what all the medical things that are wrong with you, how can they effectively make a decision for you? And so it's kind of a catch-22. If you don't have the HIPAA release, which allows them to tell you what all the medical problems are with the person you're making a medical decision about, well, that makes no sense. So it's really an essential document in addition to having the advanced healthcare directive done.
Well, David, let me piggyback on that. These families, let's say they discover too late that the loved one just didn't have anything in place. What happens then in the state of California when someone becomes incapacitated and there's no legal decision makers that have been named?
Well, I would suggest that you get your checkbook out first because it's going to get expensive. You're gonna, you only have two paths here. One is powers of attorney for healthcare and financial, or the other one is a conservatorship. Conservatorship requires the court to oversee everything that you're doing. It involves attorneys, and it involves bonds, and it's just a writing out check episode of something that could have been easily handled uh, via a power of attorney. So that's where the complexities we're going to get in because that's the only choice is you have to do a conservatorship and you stay engaged with the court throughout the entire time with the conservatorship. They have you come in on a routine basis to account for what you've done and making sure that nothing's being mishandled.
Richard, let me ask you about capacity because it changes over time, especially as, parents get older, right? What signs usually tell families that it's time to talk about these documents before the situation escalates?
That's a great question, Mike, but it's also a tricky question because someone may indicate that they can't remember names, they're having difficulty about bills and other sorts of things would be an indicator that perhaps they're slipping. But that's not unusual for people as they age to have that experience. And it doesn't necessarily mean that they're not competent. what is important about that is to say, that's a wake-up call. Hey, maybe we better be thinking about this, and maybe we better start talking about it. Let's have a conversation, candid conversation with that mom or dad or whoever the person is about, do you have a plan in place, and what might that be? And you don't want that to go too terribly long, because if it happens immediately prior to somebody losing capacity or, God forbid, passing away, then there's always a question: was there some undue influence in the process, or was there elder abuse in the process? So if you do this early on, it really eliminates that kind of a challenge that can occur, and it makes sure that that person doesn't get to a point without the kind of protection that's provided by having a power of attorney in place.
David, for the adults who already have powers of attorney in place or these healthcare directives like we talked about before, what should they check right now to make sure the documents still match everything that's happening in their life, whether it be current relationships or the wishes of those?
My personal opinion is I think that once a year they really should be taking a look at all of their documents to make sure that they're in conformance with what their wishes are. But when you look at specifically powers of attorney, it's a very significant document in the sense that this is who's going to take over for you if you can't do it. So if you have a falling out with that family member, you may want to consider making that change. Maybe they've passed away. Maybe they're ill and are not able to handle any of these things. Uh, and so it's that evaluation should take place on, like I say, I believe on an annual basis, to make sure that you have all the right people in all the right places at the right time. And if you don't do that and then something happens, that power of attorney, the way it's written, is what's gonna go into effect. And that may not be what you want.
Richard, for someone that's listening to this episode as we wrap here, they want to get these tools in place. Maybe they're not sure where they should begin. What's the best first step that you would advise them to do?
Well, actually, to extend to what David was saying, is they need to look and see who they've already appointed in those roles. And is that person still the person that they want? We're humans, and sometimes relationships go askew. And whoever you chose to be your power of attorney or your trustee or your agent may no longer be the person that you want in that role. And it's really important to make sure that you're appointing the right person to the right job. The other thing I would say is that frequently people say, well, it's got to be a family member, somebody I know. Well, it doesn't. It can be, does not have to be a family member. And in many cases, the best choice is actually to appoint a professional fiduciary. That's a person who gets paid to actually execute your wishes. And because they know exactly what they're doing, frequently that is less expensive for the trust or the family than would be a family member doing, who doesn't really know how to fulfill that role efficiently.
Gents, I can't thank you enough for the time and insights on this sensitive topic. I truly appreciate it, guys.
Thanks, Mike. Appreciate you.
And thank you to everyone out there for listening to this installment of Inheritance Solutions for a Diverse Community. If you want to learn more or connect with Richard and the team and David over at Bottom Line Lawyers, do me a favor, visit bottomlinelawyers.com today. Before you go, don't forget to like, subscribe, leave a review, and comment, or share the episode with someone who needs to hear it. As always, I'm Mike Leon. We'll see everybody next time.
Thanks for watching. Be sure to hit that like and subscribe button and leave us a review in the comments.